Well, thanks for checking out this video. We are continuing this series. We've checked out a bunch of different churches on how they do church online, and I'm excited. Today, I'm talking with Jan Touchberry. Jan, we met like years ago at one of the first iMinistry conferences.
Yep.
So, I mean, a lot has happened since then, but thanks for taking the time to.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we were talking, there's all sorts of, church online is one of those things where like people have connected in all sorts of different ways. And I really am grateful for the online community, because like, I just remember walking into that iMinistry conference and like you and Seth and all these people, just, you guys had this close community, and I could tell everybody just knew each other.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. There's this, it's like a underground club.
I honestly know more people, like most people, like at my church, and my church is a very large church, and people are like they're like, how do you know people at all these different churches? And I'm like, it's because of church online. Like it's a strong network.
Yep.
So, but okay, so let's jump into this. You've been doing church for church online for a while, and there's been different ways that you guys have done it. And we were talking right before we were recording about some things that you guys are changing up. But so first off, how old is your church? How long have you been doing church online? And then how big is your church locally?
Okay. So we are getting ready in about 6 weeks to celebrate our 20th anniversary as a church, which is really cool. And everybody's like, anniversary mode. And we started church online. We actually publicly launched our church online in 2010. So we're coming up on 7 years of doing church online, which is really exciting. At our brick and mortar, we run about 2,100 every weekend, adults and kids.
Wow. And then church online, like, did you start full-time on it? And right now, obviously it sounds like you have a lot of different responsibilities, but like, how much time do you get to focus on it now? Was there ever a time you were full-time, or? Yeah,
no, I wear many, many hats, and they change frequently. I was watching, I don't remember whose I was, but he's like, yeah, it's like 2% of my job is church online. I'm like, thankfully I have a little bit more than 2% of my 40 hours dedicated to church online. So I would say it's probably, I probably spend maybe 15 hours a week church online specific. We've kind of changed the way that we're doing church online as far as the scope. And so when we first started, it was closer to 20 or 25 hours that it was taking me. But since the scope is shrunk, it's a little bit less, but we're getting ready to blow that up again. So
yeah. Which is exciting. I think any church over 1,000, we love to change things up constantly, which is good and bad all at once. Probably more good than bad. It's more good than bad, but so with your church online, what is the primary focus? Is it local? Is it global? Is it both?
Yeah, we are very strategically locally focused. We made that decision from the very beginning that global was kind of not where we wanted to focus. We look at church online as kind of our front door. It's the way that people find us, for sure. And so we treat it like it's an extension of our brick and mortar campus. So if somebody can't come on a Sunday morning to the brick and mortar, we really encourage them to come to church online. And at first, I think the church leadership wasn't quite sure. I mean, I think everybody that starts church online, the church leadership is like, is this a good thing or a bad thing?
7 years ago, if you think about 7 years ago, you guys it's totally, I mean, now there's things that make more sense just because we're used to it. But
right.
7 years ago, that's early on.
Well, yeah, they thought I was nuts, but they decided to give me some money and try.
Yes. So
I'm a pretty good salesperson. So I just, sold it to the elders, and they're like, okay, let's give her some cash. So we decided to focus locally, and use that as a way to keep people plugged in. Statistically, people only show up at church. Well, I think 7 years ago, it was probably 2 out of 4 weeks a month. Now it's less than that. I just heard some weird statistic that's like 1.2 weeks out of the month is when, how many times people are actually sitting in a seat at a church. And so we decided that church online, instead of looking at it as, well, this is a way that people can get out of going to church, we decided to look at it as, spin it as a positive, that this is a way people who probably aren't going to come to sit in a seat anyway can stay connected with what's going on in the church body. And that's really what we found.
Wow. I love that. I know when I remember first learning that how most people don't come to church every weekend and thinking about that way. I mean, it definitely changes your perspective of a lot of things. And I love that how it's a positive, not a negative. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So what platform do you use to do your church online? And if you do live streaming, who do you use for your live streaming?
Yeah, we are with Chop, church online platform. We have been with them, I think for about the last 3 years.
Okay.
And we use StreamMonkey for our streaming.
Cool. And then before Chopped, you were on Media Social.
We were. Mm-hmm.
Which early on Media Social had a very tight community, and then Chopped did a bunch of things that kind of a lot of people migrated over to Chopped. We love the guys at StreamMonkey. They seem to be pretty cool. They
are fantastic. We love them.
Yeah. And what I hear, we don't use them ourselves, but from what I understand, a lot of those guys at StreamMonkey, they came from churches and they kind of have a fairly good support system, right? Is that what you
do?
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that we moved to StreamMonkey. We actually met them at an iMinistry conference.
Oh, cool.
And so we switched over to them because we were having real difficulty getting somebody on the phone on a Sunday morning when something would go wrong. And hello, we're church. We need somebody on Sunday morning. And so the StreamMonkey guys have been so good about putting together a support system for us on Sunday should something go down, which it very rarely does. They're an incredibly stable platform, which we're very grateful for, but I'm not super tech woman. And so if something goes down, I'm on the chat with them going, hello.
We use StreamMonkey's platform. Not so they're a reseller of Alchemine, but we use the same streaming company, but I do the same thing where I call a person and I'm like, why is it not working? I have no idea. Just because I have glasses doesn't mean I know. I don't know. But I'm very fortunate. Yeah. I always hear great things about StreamMonkey, but okay. So, your funnel, what does it look like for somebody? And I know this is, especially doing it 7 years, has been, I think I've been doing this 6 years and there's been various stages of this, but I guess maybe talk a little bit about what you guys have done historically and maybe where you guys are moving towards, but what does it look like for somebody from crowd to core, new person, all the way down to what you want them to go towards? What does that look like in you guys' church?
So when we first started church online, I think like most people, we wanted to be like Life Church when we grew up.
Yeah.
So I was a student of Life Church, and I gathered all the information that I could. I got on the phone with people. I went to, we went and toured their stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is how we have to do it, because nobody really was doing it then, or we were all just kind of trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so we tried to mimic what they were doing. And it really became evident pretty quickly that that's not what God was calling us to be. We can't mimic something that we're not DNA wise. And so we weren't getting the engagement that I thought we probably should be. And so I kind of took a step back and said, okay, what is our DNA as a church, and what does that look like online?
Yeah.
And so we really started implementing the same language that we use in a regular church service. We use, I know lots, like you guys have a next step card. Some of them have connect cards. We have a care card. It's basically the same thing. But so instead of what Life Church was doing, we did an online care card. And so when the person that was talking during services, during a live stream, was talking about a care card. It was the exact same thing. And we had ways for people to funnel through.
Which is so smart, which is like, so because that's what they're saying from the stage. So you're aligning the language.
Yeah. I am, man, I have learned a lot in 7 years. Don't try to be something that you're not. And don't try to be Saddleback either.
Yeah.
Y'all are rocking it, but in a completely different way. It's so we went from really trying to be an online campus, like a entity of its own. So I took care of all the care, the follow-up, all of that stuff. I was online campus pastor and did everything that a campus pastor at a multi-site would do, basically. And we pretty quickly discovered that we were going to be better served by becoming, shifting the philosophy and realizing that we were kind of an extension of our main campus and not something all on its own. And so we kind of scaled back the way that we did care. We already have, we're 2,000 person church. And so we already have really good systems to funnel people into. So why were we trying to recreate the wheel? And so we really just started funneling people through the systems that we already have in place that are working for our main campus. And so we kind of took a step back from the online campus, and we're just church online. We're Christ Fellowship online. It's
no, that makes sense. And I tell people that all the time, that we're like, don't be what you can't do, like, don't replicate, because like, I always say the reason why we do groups really well is because like, I'm like, our church, that's what we do. And it's the team I'm on, and it's what my pastor talks about. So like, it's so easy. It's like a layup. And, like when I talk to Life Church, like that's like, I'm always like, how do you guys get so many people?
right.
And then they say like, how do you get so many groups? And it's like, it's just hilarious when you just realize, well, it's kind of like you're the extension of the vision of your church.
Yep. So I'm asking both those questions.
Well, and it's like being like, this is why, and it's such a layup too, when you think about, if you align the language and the strategy, it's also how like you're resourced locally, and it's easier to replicate. And it's, maybe you can go to another phase of your church online down the road, but it's like, kind of hit, make the shots that you can make right now, real quick. But you were sharing briefly a little bit about how there's like, you guys are going through this thinking, this strategy of going to multi-site. And I know that's probably really early on, but there's been a lot of conversation with people thinking about using church online kind of data to launch other campuses. But you were sharing a little bit about how like you guys are beginning to think about that. Yeah.
So I have had, I've kind of dreamed about that for 7 years, and the church is kind of catching up. It's now time, right, to implement that. And so the idea is we are 12 months away from launching our first multi-site campus. It's about 20 minutes away, which I think they say is statistically
they say
in the zone. The people who know multi-site say it's in the zone. So it's not like super far away, but it's probably people who aren't going to drive here on a Sunday morning. And so our goal is to take church to them where they're at. And if it's true what we say they a lot, who is they, right? If it's true what they say, that church online is, and online media in and of itself is the new front door, right? So somebody's going to check out your website or visit your church online before they ever step foot in your building. And if that's true, then how do we leverage that for planting a campus that is 20 miles away? And so that's really what we're looking at. We're looking at how to use advertising and ClickFunnels to get people involved in life groups out in that area before we even actually open the campus itself. So our goal would be in the next 12 months to have 15 life groups out there that are going and vibrant. that know us because they're able to connect with us online on a Sunday morning. So they're familiar with our church services, they're familiar with our style, but they already have that core nucleus of people that they're doing life with on a weekly basis in life groups. And then once the campus opens in February of 2018, we've already got 150, 200 people that are there, that are invested, they're bought in, they're ready to serve, and they're kind of got that all-in attitude. And I'm super excited about what that's going to look like.
Wow. That's early. Like, not too many people have even thought of that or are doing that, but that is brilliant. I love that. I can't wait to hear, as you guys do that, roll that out. Would you encourage them to watch as a small group the online service, or yeah. So, wow. I mean, talk about a church planner to be able to like have that for you just to hand that off to a church. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm super pumped. You need to be sharing that more with other, like, I just be sharing those learnings.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. So what's the tool that you wish you had, 7 years ago that you have now, with Church Online?
Oh gosh. So we have just recently started Facebook Live, and I'm also the social media manager for our church. And so social media is my jam.
Yeah.
And, I think it's really cool that people who are trolling Facebook, on a Sunday morning anyway, can just, they don't have to go to another website. It's like, boom, they're in your feed. And so I just think that's such a great evangelistic opportunity. And so I wish we'd had that 7 years ago, but.
Do you do any type of direct Facebook Live just as the pastor, like to the community, or is
not
it
yet, but that is coming.
Cool. Sweet. Well, Jen, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, really, like, you guys super strategic, and I'm really excited to kind of hear all this other stuff that's going on. But we're going to put links to everything to connect with her and check out everything what she's doing at her church. But thanks again for taking out time.
You're welcome.
Today.